Of course, we will start with Scotland 0, Japan 1 at Hampden yesterday. Let's hear from Steve Clarke, shall we? This is what he had to say on the performance, first of all.
A lot of things I can take from it that were decent in terms of playing against top quality opposition. Obviously didn't create enough final third of the pitch would be something that we have to look at, but it's something that we've spoken about often. We keep working at it, we keep trying to get better at it, and we'll continue to do that. Well, first of all, you've got to look at the quality opposition. We're playing a top class team, and towards the end they're bringing on stronger and stronger players. I chose to go the opposite way because I had players that I needed minutes on the pitch, but also had to protect towards the end of the game. It's just to keep working. It's to keep working at what we do. I didn't think it'd be a low-scoring game. It was, and even the goal that we conceded came from a bad choice to go forward too early, and we weren't organised after defending a set play. So we can learn little lessons, but I think it shows that if you make bad decisions against top teams, you get punished.
What did you make of the performance overall, Jim?
I think, like most people, quite disappointed. It was quite flat. Yeah, I understand the structure, but I feel that the structure's already there. I mean, Steve's been there for a good number of years now. We've qualified for 2 European Championships. You know, I think we know our strengths, and our strengths, that organisation, that kind of discipline. He alluded to the side that we have to improve upon, which is that final third entries, getting more balls in the box, getting more bodies in the box, getting more opportunity to score, and that is the most difficult part of the game. I understand that, but I think that's something that, you know, we've got to be better at. I mean, particularly the last Euros, and you know, so poor in terms of, you know, having a go, Andrew. You know, and I think when we go to the World Cup, I think every Scotland fans wants us to at least go, you know, go there with all guns blazing, really give it everything you've got. And to do that, the only way you can do that is maybe practice and take a little bit more risk. And I think we didn't take enough risk. We know he's right. Japan are a good footballing side, technically very good, but I still think Scotland can offer more going forward.
And when Scotland get the chances, they need to take them as well, Hugh. There was a really good opportunity for Scott McTominay early on in the game from John McGinn's cross. There was Andy Robertson with that surging run forward that forced a low save. George Hurst had another effort. Apart from that, wasn't really too much to shout about from Scotland going forward.
We got off lightly at 1-0. The Japanese, I thought, were good for 3 or 4.
Do you think so? Do you think they had that many opportunities?
Yeah, I think so. If you go back over the game, the only thing that did delight me was every time Kenny McLean gets the ball and they start shouting shoot. But we were flat. The atmosphere was flat, and it wasn't uplifting. You know, I go back to Scotland 4, Denmark 2, the greatest match probably we've ever played, with the greatest goal we've ever scored, and it's still fresh in the memory, and everything pales into insignificance. And yesterday was one of those occasions that was insignificant.
I did feel a bit sorry for maybe some of the younger Scotland fans that had watched Scotland-Denmark on the TV, then got brought along to the Scotland-Japan game for their first ever game, you know, national team game in person. It was just never gonna, I mean, nothing is ever gonna live up to that night, but overall it just seemed very flat, which can happen in friendly matches.
No, they do, and it happens. We saw even the England game, you know, that was flat when they played. So I get a lot of friendlies can be like that, and players nowadays play an enormous amount of games. We heard Stevie's interview there saying about giving players minutes and having to protect players. So he does have a responsibility, because these players are going back to their clubs with titles and, you know, challenges ahead of them that they want to, their clubs are wanting them to be, make sure that they're fresh for and available for, and not picking up unnecessary injuries or not playing too many games or too much minutes. But I still think we can be a little bit, even if we give it a go for an hour, say, you know, right, okay, like, we're going to get after them for an hour, we're going to try and, you know, put our foot down on the gas and really go for it. And then in maybe the last half hour we saw, I think Japan made 10 substitutes. I think we made, you know, whatever. So I mean, pretty much the two teams are, you know, completely different in the latter stage of the game than they were from the start of the match. And I think young fans as well like to identify with their heroes. So if your hero's a John McGinn or a Scott McTominay or Andy Robertson, whatever it happens to be, you're going there for a long to get the opportunity to see these players, and you want to see them at their best. listen, I keep saying, I keep quantifying it, Andrew, by saying I totally understand the players just protecting themselves a little bit. I think these games are more for Stevie Clarke and his staff to get in amongst the players again, to get a connection with the players again, rather than actually what happens on the pitch. Because when the World Cup comes up, I don't think there'll be many surprises in the squad. I don't think there'll be many surprises in how we line up. I don't think there'll be many surprises in how we want to play. So I don't think we'll learn too much from any friendly going into the tournament. But I think it's an opportunity for the manager to get in amongst the players again.
0141 951 1025. Scotland fans interested to hear what you made of the performance. Were there any players that stood out to you? Any players that you maybe feel didn't do themselves justice and will be concerned heading into the summer and their place in the World Cup squad?